So, okay, after this lively presentation from Paul, I would like to share some academic thoughts with you. I hope it will not be too boring. So the topic of my brief input will be relevance and rigor towards evidence-based practice in education. And could you change it? Yeah. And I would like to briefly talk about or address three questions that are important from my point of view. The first question would be, what at all constitutes rigorous scientific research? What is relevance of educational research? And then how do we provide objective evidence to inform practice? First of all, why is research important? I think it is important for mobilizing knowledge. In the ideal case, we start or we encounter a problem in practice, and then we would carry out research in order to provide evidence and in order to inform practice and to shape our practice. I would like to give you one example of that. Can you name any important research result that has affected your online teaching practice? And I would like to share one example, one personal example. When I did a review for the journal Computers in Education, I came across this study here by Corving, Hernandez, and de Groot, and they published a study about the relation between the visibility and attention in web lectures. So they looked at three different presentation modes: a large lecturer image and a small PowerPoint image of the PowerPoint slides. The second condition was a smaller lecturer and large PowerPoint slides, and the third condition was a large PowerPoint slide and no image of the lecturer at all. The students only heard the voice of the lecturer. And the result of this, or the evidence of this study, was that the students reported most attention for web lectures, a bit longer web lectures, longer than 15 minutes, with a large lecturer image. But you see here, this eta value is only 0.08, so only 8% of the variance of attention is explained by lecture visibility. So I thought, how could I use this evidence to improve my own practice and improve my own web lectures? And so I tried and decided to have a bit bigger image of myself and some smaller PowerPoint slides. What happened? The students didn't really like it. They said, the PowerPoints are too small, we can't read it. Yeah? I come back to this problem again at the end. So, just one nice example. So, first question, what constitutes rigorous scientific research? I think this has 6 aspects here that are important. The first thing is, of course, we start with posing significant questions that can be investigated empirically, of course. So science always proceeds by asking important questions about the real world that lead to hypotheses that we can test. The second thing is, of course, the link between research and the relevant theory. Most research is concerned with developing and testing theories, and the theories guide the research, and based on the research results lead to a revision of theory. So both theory and research is interconnected. And then, of course, we have to use methods that permit direct investigation of the question. The research methods must be derived, of course, from the research question and not vice versa. Fourth point, provide a coherent, explicit chain of reasoning. And with rigorous reasoning, I mean the logical links between empirical observations, the underlying theory, and the questions or problems that are in the focus of our investigation. Then I think we should do more replication of research and generalize across studies. It's of course challenging in education to provide evidence of replicability and generalizability, but I think we should do more replication studies to provide more evidence in different contexts and in order to generate data for more second-order research. And finally, I would say be an open scholar, share your data, share your instruments, disclose your research to encourage professional scrutiny and critique. I think those are, from my point of view, elements of rigorous research. Then what is relevant research? What is the relevance of educational research? Does educational research has to be relevant at all? I think we can debate this. I mean, of course we can do pure research and we don't have to care about if it's relevant or not. I always say research is the most glorious form of play. Yeah? It doesn't have to be relevant. But I think in the context of education, it would be nice if the research we do would be relevant. But what constitutes relevant research and what is relevant? Relevance is always, I think Donatella said this yesterday, it's always context bound. Yeah? What might be relevant for one group, the students or faculty members, might be irrelevant for another group, like policymakers or politicians. But I think in general, path-breaking, groundbreaking research is always a consequence of two interacting factors. The quest for fundamental understanding, theory building, and consideration of use and its practical application. I think one example of such path-breaking research is, for example, the work by Terry Anderson, Archer, and Garrison about the community of inquiry model and what this means for the facilitation of learning processes in online learning environments, and all the empirical studies that followed after they developed their theoretical model. So relevance falls at the interaction of theory building and application in practice. And then, of course, how do we provide objective evidence to inform practice? There's a clear trend, I would say, some people say it's a paradigm shift towards evidence-based practice and policy. I don't know if this is really the case. But in general, I think we can distinguish between primary empirical research that looks at reality and collects data about the reality. And then, of course, we can do secondary research. And evidence takes, in secondary research, takes the form of published data in the journals and the publications. So that would be meta-research or systematic reviews. And the aim of secondary research is to show systematically that existing primary research results contain arguments to shape and inform practice. And this is an important point, I think, I found this quote by Oldenburg: rather than looking at any study in isolation, we need to look at the body of evidence. And I would like to make a case here for doing more second-order research. And some scholars don't consider secondary research as real research. It's not when it's not primary research, it's not real research. But I think it's important not only to do research in isolation on a tiny thing, but rather looking at the whole body of evidence that we have on a certain topic. And yesterday we heard one presentation about a systematic review, and oh, can you help me again? So in my research group and in my institution, we also do a systematic review at the moment, and a systematic review is a review of research literature using systematic and explicit accountable methods that are transparent. You create a search protocol and you can replicate this, and it comes from the medical sciences and health sciences, but it's also now more widely used in the social sciences. And Garret and Oliver and Thomas wrote a book about using the application of systematic reviews in the social sciences. And in our project, we always start, of course, with the review question, the research question, and our project deals with the question, under which conditions does educational technology support student engagement in higher education? And you start with the search in databases, and then you evaluate these documents, and finally you write a synthesis of the evidence, of the quantitative evidence. You can do a meta-analysis, as we saw yesterday, and you write a narrative synthesis about the qualitative data. So qualitative data is here also taken as evidence. Okay, I'm almost finished. Just I would like to share this pyramid of the hierarchy of scientific evidence that also supports my claim that meta-studies and systematic reviews provide strong evidence. And coming back to my personal experience with the lecture images in web lectures, I think I need not to look only at this one study published in Computers in Education. Maybe I have to do a systematic review on that topic in order to make a final decision about how I will present myself in my web lectures. Thank you very much.